All right. Colleagues, welcome back, and may we please take our seats. May we please take our seats. I want to take my attendance. All right. May I kindly ask the colleagues to take their seats? Very good. Earlier I said I will only navigate the first session before lunch, but because of the issue of the time, we only have one item left. Then I will step down, and then Dr. Nico will take over. Before lunch, Mr. Jelly Bukes presented to us the keynote speak. This panel discussion is linked to that keynote speech which was done by Mr. Jelly Bukes. And I would like to introduce the moderator for this session. And I just want to say before I introduce him, those colleagues that will do the presentation here, please perform some miracles, more than what Dr. Elombe did, so that we can grab on that on time, so that we'll be able to finish on time. But I was told, Dr. Nico said, don't worry, because after this event, there will be a gala dinner. Don't worry. You are in a good hand of GIZ. Okay, courtesy of that. Dear delegates, allow me to introduce Mr. Paratus Nepolo, who will be a moderator for this session. And Mr. Nepolo is a Tvet graduate and a Tvet promoter certified by both NTA and the Ministry of Education through Live Your Patients. He's a full-time entrepreneur that's never been employed, only employed others up to date. For the past now 23 years, he had been in that business. We are going to hear from someone who is in the industry. We are going to hear the practical part, not the theory in academic. Mr. Nepolo is a founder and the MD for the following companies: Millennium Refrigeration and Electrical Services, Pty, Millennium Training Institute, Pty, the Ducts Africa Steel Manufacturer, CC, Namibia and Tanzania Group, Pty, then Foda Parral Engineering, CC, and Vortex Technology, CC. Leadership. He is a board member of NCCI, interim chairperson of WVTC board, the president of HVAC Association Namibia, vice president SADC RAC Association Namibia, steering committee member of Ozone Protection Namibia, under Ministry Industry and Mines. That's where we find that Zone Protection Namibia, as well as committee member for Tvet Policy Review under the Ministry of education. As I said, we are not going to listen to an academia, but we are going to listen to a business person. We are going to listen to an entrepreneur. Mr. Paratas Nepolo, the floor is yours so that you can moderate the session. Let's give him the round of applause. Okay. While Mr. Nepolo is coming and take his seats comfortably, I just want us to play, or I would like to play a 2-minute video. This 2-minute video is from Okakarora. They have a project, and Mr. John, you are given strictly 2 minutes. 2 minutes to do that. They want to surprise us. Mr. John, the floor is yours before Mr. Nepolo. Oh, we can also give him, yeah.
Ceremony. I think the sound is. Thank you so much, Director of Ceremony. All protocol observed. I would like just to respect the protocol as already established. My name is Mr. John Viakondo, the Head of Training of Okakarora Vocational Training Center. We just wanted to share that video with the audience so that the Namibian people can also see that we have already started with being in an inclusivity within our education system as a Tvet institution provider. So, and we have got a lot of challenges because we have started, that was one of the second group of our intake. The first group were doing bricklaying and plastering, and this one are now doing clothing and production unit. But that's all what we wanted to share with you. That's what's submitted. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. Yeah, thank you very much. I think Doctor have even introduced the business that are already closed, because entrepreneurship, the business closes and open. But thank you for that introduction. Let's dive straight to why am I here today, this afternoon. It's really exciting to get this platform to engage, the professors and doctors with the very minimum qualifications before them. But I'm excited also to say I employ them already. It's not a big case. Really, the topic of this afternoon is is bridging skill gap for sustainable future, multi-sectoral perspective on the competence base and long life learning. I think this one everybody want to talk about it because the long learning, all of us, maybe the half of this house are still learning. So we learn until until they say that death do us apart. Then it's when we stop learning. Because sometimes you are not certified, you are not given that certification or certificate, but you are still learning. So I believe this is a very critical topic of the afternoon. And under my critical topic, I have my respected panel members. And I'm not going to introduce all of them at a time, but I will introduce the first one. And I will go according to the list that was already prepared. The first panel member will focus on the role of micro-credential and short courses in Tvet. I think this was a topic of the whole morning. And I think this guy will then go to unpack what really micro-credential and upskill have to do about the innovation and entrepreneurship. This panel member, his name is Master Muvatera Jode Siririka. I think this gentleman is very well known in the Tvet and also education family. He's an education and training specialist. You know, when somebody is called a specialist, you don't need to go reading the whole page. Specialist. Before you become a specialist, you already called a lot of titles, I believe, in between. Definitely his passion is in Tvet and skill development. Master Siririka sir, come and do your presentation. I will definitely offer you, yes, I knew when you talk, we don't talk long. I think our 7 minutes will be fine. But if I leave anything that you think you want the audience and participants to know, please, in your 7 minutes to 10 minutes, you're welcome to do that.
Yes, good afternoon. Wow, I'm told I'm an expert or specialist, whatever that means. I'm just a village boy, one of the village boys around town, and I've been around, particularly in the area of Tvet. And what I've actually, I did 2 papers. One was on that broad topic. And then when I bounced that against the coordinators, I was told, no, come on, you are wearing off. We don't want to hear that from you. We want to hear you talking about the micro-credentials and short courses. So I had to go back and come up with something else. So my mind was actually fixed on the broader perspective. But the nice part is that the colleagues who were here in the morning, of course, covered that greater part of it. So I will not going to bore you with that. However, I would like to yes, there is that strategy of Tvet in the AU, the African Union, that was to revitalize Tvet. And I think it looked at broader areas. The whole area of, as an objective, was the issue of revitalization of Tvet in Africa, the positioning thereof, and the mobilization of resources towards Tvet and the whole area of policy realignment. Now, what is interesting in that document is that Tvet is said to be the future that is sustainable, inclusive, and wealthy. Now, hear that one. I think that's an interesting part. But this is when you are looking at Tvet in relation to SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. Now, when you look at Tvet with regard to that, you are looking at the quality of your education, you are looking at the quality thereof, the video that we just saw, work and growth in terms of development, innovation, infrastructure thereof, the greening of Tvet. That's broadly what you are talking about. Now, let's look at micro-credentials. And you will have more of that, eh? You must bear with me. That's who I am. I'm better than Peter Kashavivi, but I do that sometimes. Yeah, but anyway, there are two types of micro-credentials. Broadly, what we are saying is that it's the acquisition of skills, that's a critical part. The other one is the certificates, the skills programs. You are aware of what is actually happening in South Africa in terms of, they've got two bills, I think, or acts. One deals with Tvet and the other one deals with skills development. In our country, we only have one act, that's the Tvet, or National Vocational Training Act of 2008, Act 1 of 2008. But what is being said is that in all that, what lacks, it's qualifications that are offered online. That's what it is. And that is because maybe that is where we are coming from. Now, why micro-credentials or why short courses? We are saying it is necessary for at least for one to respond to the changing working environment. That's one part. And the other one would be to provide leveraging the features for massive open online courses. Of course, what is available online and what is it that we want to do with regard to this. But I think for all intents and purposes, for all of those of us who are here, this is critical to NQA, not NTA, NQA. NTA, yes, because they develop the qualifications. But NQA critical because they have to take this on board. For some of us who've been around, one issue that we have always had as a problem with NQA was there are no short courses accepted within the NQF. But what we are saying is that there is no way you can continue providing training in this day and age and say you continue providing long-term or long courses, 1 year based courses or whatever. I think that's the problem that we have. The common elements or characteristics of a short course or micro-credentials are supposed to be the learning outcomes, the authority that issue those qualifications, the date of issue, the workload, relationship to existing qualifications. Now, of course, those of us who are not specialists as curriculum experts argue that you do not need to develop new courses as short courses. What you may need to do is to take those qualifications that you have on the NQF and certify them or use them as the building blocks towards the national qualification and provide necessary credentials for those qualifications. Now, looking around, one would realize that the need for micro-credentials, I think it's so loud. And I think that's the presentation that we've had this morning. That we need to move on and start looking at short courses, be it at secondary general education, Tvet, and universities or tertiary education. We need to look at micro-credentials features to be innovative, assessments methods, which enhance verification of learning achievements. Micro-credentials they've emerged as the faster response to fill the skills and competence demanded by the new jobs as compared to the more conventional qualifications. I think that's what we're saying this morning. If you look at what Limbo was presenting here, he did not present us with new courses. He's actually saying these are some of the courses that are needed or required for the green hydrogen. So what one needs to do is to take what is available in the system and how to add those shorter courses that you need. Now let me give you one example. The issue of OPIDO courses, the offshore. You can be a welder, a very good one. You could have done some of the courses, be it from arc welding to your plastic welding. But at the end, what you need for you to work on the platform offshore, you need to be certified by OPIDO. Now the OPIDO courses, I think they range between 3 to 4 or 5 days. But it costs you 54,000 to have 60,000 for those 3 days. Why? You have to go to South Africa to do those courses. Now, those are some of the courses that we need to bring on board in our system, so that when we train our people, our young people, or whoever we retrain and upskill, is able to do that course locally, so that that person can actually, a person like me who has passed their sell-by date, and somebody finds me useful somewhere and say, look, you can come over here, we can make use of you. I should be able to go to a short course, do it, and be able to get a job faster. Because if I'm going to spend 3 years with you, I will be too old by then, and the person won't be interested in me anymore. So those are some of the realities that we need to look at. So what we need to do is to look at what remains as an area of concern is the extent to which our NTA are ready to move with times. We should not lose sight of the fact that when the hype of green hydrogen was at its peak, the country was found wanting. I was there. I remember being challenged by green hydrogen at the NTA. And we were told they needed those people last year. And that is one reality that we had to go through. And of course, I say the same could be true, or be argued to be true for the petrochemical industry that is a result of the newfound discoveries of the oil and gas. What are the best features of a high-quality micro-credentials? Of course, every qualification that you do It needs to be accepted by the authorities. Now, of course, here we are talking of government and NQA. The education institutions or training organizations like NTA, the employers must trust that what that short course delivers is acceptable to them, it's in accordance with their requirements, and they can live by it. And that product that comes from there has the skills that they are requiring. Of course, but all this, it's not business as usual. Not the way we've been doing things. Because what it means, we need to have a rigorous system of quality assurance. Now, a rigorous system of quality assurance, in fact, total quality management system needs to be in place. For when you have a demand of a new course, it must come on board like yesterday. And it must be certified tomorrow. And the business community, they must be satisfied, be happy that even if it takes a day or two, that person, when that person graduates or come out of that system, it's acceptable, has the skills that we require, and will be able to do the job. And there should be no doubt about it. So that's what we're talking about. Now, I met Dakolute in a different environment. He was doing more or less the kind of things that he was talking about here. The whole issue of automation and digitalization in Tvet, it's critical. We cannot continue doing things the way we are doing them up to now. You know, we hear from the president says it's not going to be business as usual. That's good to say. But I'm sure not a lot of our systems are actually automated. In Tvet, you need to have the infrastructure in place. You need to have a system in place. The infrastructure, then the system, then everything follows. Now, for the time, yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, I understand. Yes, okay. But all in all, what I'm saying is, the points are there, you would get them. All in all, what you need is to have a system that makes sense, that works, and delivers the qualification that you need. Let me see whether there's anything else. Now, the other issue that I made with regard to this is the issue of a system in terms of legislative system. The way we've done business so far is not going to work for us. What we need to do is to move our system. All qualifications must be automated, must be digitalized, and you must be able to get a qualification from online. It's not only the other countries that can do it, we can do it too. We can do it, this country can do it. You have the capacity, you have the human resource, you can do it and you can deliver. So I think I will end there. I will respond to some of the issues with time. But the date is, you have it there. Thank you so much.
Please, a round of applause. You can see how passionate is this gentleman. Very passionate, and he wanted to be with you until the gala dinner time. But unfortunately, there are some other sessions. Yes, thank you so much. Maybe the takeaway from the entrepreneurship perspective, he said we must not export money anymore through skill development. We must be selfish with our cash flow for the country. Only supporting private sector to bring partners that are offering those micro credentials and also short courses that are internationally recognized, to bring those people here. Not us paying a lot of money, those people to go there. I think that's a takeaway. Thank you very much. Another round of applause, please. in our next, or in my next panel discussion, there's, you know, when they say, at least this one is a master, but when you see it's a doctor and the name is not familiar, you might say master while the person is a female or vice versa. But this one is at least a male. It's Master Johannes Mbundu. He will definitely going to focus this afternoon on sustainable skill developments in oil and gas sector. Well, that's a topic that we want to hear. I hope this gentleman is here. He's not here. Oil and gas. You know, everybody wanted to say, we wanted to hear what opportunities are there and what certifications are there, what micro credentials are required so that we start taking, you know, those opportunities in this space. But at least now NASTA and the whole, you know, organizer, they will own us this one, even just to discuss about this topic alone. In that absence, then we will definitely go to the next panel member, which we're going to focus in breaching skill gap in the context of agriculture within Tvet sector. As you know, agriculture, whatever we are doing, if there's no food, we cannot do anything. I saw the energy was going low and low before lunch. And you can see now everybody's recharged. It's because of agriculture. Having said that, Dr. Tiona Edison, the manager, provision, Agra Provision Training and Consulting Services, Pty Limited. You know, when you hear those big words, manager, provision, training, you know, that's such combination, you know, and it's also in the aggregate food sector. You expect that person to deliver a better information and also brief. You know, in agriculture, people don't waste time because they want people to eat now. So, Doctor, please make your way forward to do a presentation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are we today? You're good? You should be good. I heard some people complaining about the lack of resources that we were enjoying during lunch, but yes, that's exactly the reason why we are here to talk about sustainability also, especially in the agriculture sector. So thank you, Mr. Moderator. Let me just add to the short introduction. So before I joined Agra Provision, I was at UNAM as a short course and continuous professional development coordinator. So my office was responsible for not only capacity development for the faculty, but also the development and administration of short courses for the whole of UNAM. So this is a very important topic. Micro-credentials is at the center of it, and I'm so glad that a lot of us are speaking about it today. And before that, I was at NAST, and before that, I was at NTA. So yes, 21 years in total. All right, colleagues, without further ado, let me just quickly give me 1 minute just to give you an overview of Agra Provision. So we form part of Agra, who's the mother body, and Agra Provision is a subsidiary of that. Now we're the training wing of Agra. Agra has been in existence for 45 years, and the core of our business has always been agriculture. For Agra Provision, our capacity building in agriculture remains at the center of this, and we're really very passionate about it. So when we talk about sustainability and food security, we're happy to be on these platforms as well. So thank you very much to the organizers also for extending an invitation. Right, colleagues, without further ado, so this is just a short overview of my presentation. Let me just go back. Basically, it will contain 6 areas. I won't read each one of those ones. because I want to delve straight into the point. First and foremost, like I said, thank you very much for extending the invitation. It is really a privilege to speak to you today about a topic that sits in the intersection of education, innovation, and national development. As we look toward inclusive growth, food security, and climate resilience, the transformation of our agriculture sector through a Tvet, and this is agricultural Tvet, is not just a desirable, but it is an essential component that we need to speak about. Today, I will outline the critical skills gaps and contextualize them, particularly within the context of NDP 6, our National Development Plan, as well as other international reports that pertains to the World Food Bank reports and SDGs and so on. But you'll see how they all speak about the same thing, basically, when we talk about the agriculture sector. I will then conclude with a call to action for all of us in the academic and Tvet community for positive reform in our Tvet, Tvet specifically curricula. So without further ado, there you can see a little diagram, and I would like to start right at the top of the head, okay? Agriculture is one of our biggest employing sectors in the country, and it sustains about 70% of our rural livelihoods in Namibia. Yet, despite this, it's also one of the sectors that is really being plagued by a high or persistent skills gap that's crippling our productivity, innovation, and national food security. Therefore, Tvet, specifically a Tvet, plays a critical role in that, and you'll see a Tvet right at the bottom. You know, when we swallow food, it must pass through here. So this is why I want Tvet to be, it must be at the center of everything. Okay, colleagues. Right. Then before we talk about anything else, I want us to look at some of the challenges that we had. And for this, just allow me also to have mine. Okay. So some of the persistent challenges that we've experienced lately, and right at the bottom you'll see skills gaps appearing there. This is nothing new to us. But the question is, what are we going to do about that? Right at the top of that, that's the dual sector structure. We know that our commercial agriculture producers have the technology, they have the infrastructure, but yet it's our rural communities that are feeding the nation. So this is where we're talking about the dual sector structure. Low-tech sector supports the majority of the population. Then right at the top, it's climate vulnerability. We can't speak enough about this because it really does have a direct impact on the agriculture sector, especially. Food insecurity. Millions of people face food shortages, and this is not just unique to Namibia, but we need to do something about this, also to address our national agendas about that. Then in agriculture specifically, we also need to be mindful of our green gas emissions. So we'll talk about that a little later on, but what is important is that everything that we do in agriculture, we need to be mindful of the impact that it has on the environment too. One of them also being the manure, the fertilizers, the chemicals that we use in agriculture. These all contribute to a high GHG emission. So we also need to be mindful of that. Oh, sorry, colleagues. Let me just go back. Then if we look at this in the context of NDP 6, I've broken it down into 3 parts. One being Tvet and skills development, the second being agriculture value chains, and the third being agro-processing. Remember, we're talking about the challenges here. Under Tvet, you can clearly see that there is a misalignment of skills currently. There's limited industry collaboration. There's outdated curricula, and we also need another strategic approach to be applied to Tvet in general to address these challenges. Then under the arm of agriculture value chains, we have low productivity, climate vulnerability, limited competitiveness, and again, we need to probably revise our strategic focus when it comes to those things. Then under agro-processing, that's the one right at the bottom, there's low value addition, underutilized infrastructure, or maybe the lack of infrastructure in some cases, and of course a lack of technical skills as well. And I want to move on and just highlight, I'm not going to read that whole list. What I want you to look at is food security in particular. So 1.26 million people face acute food insecurity in early 2025. This is where we are now. We really need a wake-up call. This is going to just grow worse and worse if we don't address this issue. In sub-Saharan Africa, you see that we're very passionate about our cattle. And then you can see our cattle herd is 3 times larger than North America's, but productivity is 10% lower. So this also tells us something. Then again, you see them mentioning about the greenhouse gas emissions and it rising also as we speak. So we need to be particularly also have a focus on that. I want to also touch on youth unemployment, which remains a concern for all of us, whatever the sector may be. And then, of course, 70% of Africa's food is produced by smallholder farmers. And this is why they form a critical component in the value chain and why we also need to pay attention to upskilling that market. Right. Then in terms of the skills gaps, I want to classify them into 5 areas. And this is technical skills, business skills, digital skills, soft skills, and sustainability skills. And this is particularly to the agriculture sector. So when we talk about technical skills, we have a lack of mechanization, agro-processing, biotechnologies, business skills. We need skills in planning, marketing, value chain integration. Currently, we are lacking that. Digital skills, GIS, how can we use it in agriculture, remote sensing, farm management software, soft skills, these are our problem-solving skills, our critical thinking skills, business communication skills, adaptability or agility, we need to adapt to our environment. People management, I would like to add that one particularly because we also need to pay attention to that. And customer service. If we want to train entrepreneurs, we also need to pay attention to training our people how to work with the people and with the customers. And this is why that last 2 areas is also of critical importance. Then lastly, sustainability, climate smart agriculture, resource management, eco-friendly agriculture practices such as clean energy irrigation systems and eco-friendly fertilizers. That is also what is currently lacking at the moment. And when Mr. Limbo did his presentation, Mr. Limbo, I didn't see agriculture on that list of 19 critical sectors and how we feed into that. So I would humbly appeal, please add me as number 1, because I've seen it organized alphabetically, so I must be number 1, agriculture. Because we also feature within the green hydrogen sector under the fertilizers. We definitely play a role in that. Okay. So this is like a little bucket. I would like you to think of skills gaps as a little bucket. So we have something, but we know there's gaps, and this gaps it's draining our energy, it's draining our resources. We're not getting to where we want to be. All right. And again, these are 4 focus areas that I've divided them into. Digital agriculture gap, and we've briefly just spoken about some of these. Agribusiness management gap, climate smart agriculture gap, socio-ecological thinking gap. And I want you to look at this one, the social ecological skills gap in agriculture. So this refers to the disconnect between the skills currently held by agriculture workers and the competencies needed to address the complex social and ecological challenges. The presentation will be shared with you, so of course you can also read through that. But these are some of the areas that I wanted to highlight that we often don't think about when we think about curricular reform. So in relation to our NDP 6, yes, 2 minutes. I would like you to think about a tree, okay? And we see the roots at the bottom, and that is the problems that we know about. But how does that relate to the NDP 6 areas? And there you can clearly see that I've put this into relation. Productivity and commercialization relates directly to economic growth, transformation, and resilience. I'll just touch right at the top, Tvet governance. That is one that I've added. We really need to have a look at how we manage Tvet, the governance structures. We can't be the referee and the player. And there's certain things happening in certain spaces that distracts us from what we should be focusing on. And this is our students and their skills that they need for the current workforce. Okay, I'll just run right through there. So some of the other skills that we need, and these are future skills, we need to have an entrepreneurial mindset. Not everyone can be employed by the government. That's why we need to have more entrepreneurs, more millionaires coming from agriculture, specifically Tvet. Then green skills and research and data literacy. And I'm so happy that some of our speakers also touched on the research aspect, because it's through research that it informs our practices. Then the other one is also, and what we often don't think about when we think about a traditional sector like agriculture, is the technology, the AI. How can we incorporate that? So we need to think about AI and robotics, automation and precision in farming practices, blockchains. We can use it to enhance transparency and security in supply chains, IoT sensors, smart irrigation and data-driven farming, virtual labs, immersive learning environments for the agriculture education. So these are just some of the things that we need to speak about. And of course, when we consider all of this, then we will probably make a remarkable impact. So this is just one area that we can maybe also think of. Instead of us competing for resources, maybe it's time to think about regional centers of excellence for agriculture education as well, and they have classified what could possibly fit into our regions if we had to divide them into 4 sectors. All right. Almost done. I just have about 50 more slides left. Colleagues, I'm just joking, but this is really important for me. When we think about curriculum transformation, I want you to look at it as a 7-step approach. 1, curriculum revolution. 2, research with impact. 3, specialized Tvet programs. We need to strengthen industry attachments, pedagogical shift, and also faculty development, and lastly, our public-private partnerships. And there I've just put specific emphasis, and there you can see that I've suggested even what we can incorporate as micro-credentials or short courses. We haven't even thought about precision agriculture, drone operations and maintenance, climate-smart farming, like, for example, manure management to decrease GHG emissions, agribusiness and entrepreneurship, agroecology, digital and geospatial tools and their uses in agriculture, farm budgeting, e-commerce, tractor mechanic specialization, solar-powered irrigation systems, agri-food safety technicians, and feed formulation. This is critical needs that industry now needs at the moment as we speak. But we haven't even thought about some of these things yet. And there you can see I'm talking about micro-credentials as well, because I'm so glad, Mr. Siradika, that you touched on the aspect of NQA being a critical part in this. Because if our national qualifications framework does not accommodate flexible entry and exit learning pathways, we can't even get to that. We can't even talk about stackable credentials, because who will recognize them? How will we have entry and exit points for our students, for example? So these are really some things we need to talk about. And then lastly, I would like to touch on a CPD framework for Tvet trainers. Let's not forget about our Tvet trainers when we talk about the skills gaps, because they also need to be capacitated. And in order for us to do that effectively, we need to do it in a form of a framework. But this framework also needs to accommodate pedagogy, digital tools, industry engagement, and sustainability, and not only focus on pedagogy, please. Right. Almost done, just 30 more left. Okay. Colleagues, I thought of just bringing it all together for you, and the challenges that I've just spoken about and some of the solutions that I've talked about and picked up on. This is how you can see how we can integrate that into an holistic approach. And then I'll conclude. You see, I'm at slide 56 now. As we stand at the crossroads of agricultural transformation, educational reform, one truth becomes clear. Skills are the currency of progress. Bridging the agricultural skills gap through Tvet is not just about training. It is about empowering a generation to feed our nation, drive innovation, and lead Namibia into a future of inclusive prosperity. By aligning our education systems with the realities of climate change, the demands of 4IR and beyond, we can turn agriculture into a knowledgeable-based, expert-oriented powerhouse. Let us invest in Tvet, because when we cultivate skills, we harvest prosperity. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. They've eaten enough, so the brain cells are fine. Their concentration levels are high. Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. A round of applause again to Doctor. Maybe I take away quickly 1.5 million that will need food. Are we consuming what we are producing? And I noticed that simple food, we are still importing and exporting our money. Again, we are not too selfish as a nation to export our currency, and it's very dangerous. It's not only through food or fiscal products, it's also through skill. We have skill that are scattered, but we are not doing much to export them so that we also gain foreign currency. But thank you, Doc. They have eaten enough. A round of applause again. And definitely on our next panel member, now we are going from doctor to pro. And I don't know why here, yes, of course, I understand the registrar in the academia space is a big position. And somebody to be a registrar and also at the Namibia University of Science and Technology, NAST, you have to be careful. No, this person is a professor. And I believe that professor is already prepared to work here and to work here and to do the do and to make our evening. It's already evening, isn't it? I'm thinking of gala dinner. Please, a round of applause to Pro before he comes. And definitely his focus will be implications of proposed Tvet colleges on Namibia University programs offerings, case in Namibia University of Science and Technology. What are the implications if Tvet now become colleges? Will be there any competition? Will be collaboration? Of course, I sense a component of collaboration. But Pro will tell us better.
Thank you very much, moderator. I just wanted to say maybe we should understand that the word professor simply means teacher. So I'm just a teacher. Thank you very much. I just have a few slides because I'm panicking right now. I saw how the colleague was telling the other person to finish. So I'm trying to finish before I start. All right, that is the overview of what I'm going to talk about. So I'll just select a few things here and there so that it doesn't stop me or interrupt me. I'll talk about the task force. There is a task force that I chair, National Task Force. I think all of us are aware of that task force. So I am the chairperson of that. I'm not mandated to talk about anything that the task force has done so far. So what I do there, I just facilitate the discussion. So I will simply say things from my own experience. There is a member of that task force here, Mr. Abraham. Don't want him to quote me and go and report me. Okay. So this task force, we are 13 of us. We were 14 initially, but a colleague stepped down because of the rigors it comes with it in terms of the mandate. Responding, obviously, what we are doing is also on NDP 6. So there is an expectations on NDP 6 that we deliver. We have visited about 13 government VTCs. We asked them a lot of questions, which actually we noted. We inspected the infrastructure. We evaluated the human capital. We looked at the trades that they were offering. We also assessed the natural endowment, where they are located. We will at some point pronounce ourselves, but there are a few things that we have to do. We've been asked to visit, do some benchmarking within SADC, Africa, and beyond. Some colleagues have already been to Germany. Some of us, we've been asked to visit Singapore and Malaysia. Some are going to Ghana, some are going to South Africa, and some other African countries. So the process is ongoing. After that, we'll have some stakeholder engagement where we are going to talk to specialists, like the ones in front here, including retired academics and politicians, so that whatever we decide is scientifically informed. Okay, now, I want to talk about where I work now, which is NAST. Now, I just inherited things. Jerry actually is accountable for whatever he inherited there. So we know that there was a polytechnic before. After the polytechnic, we know that there was NAST. From 2015, NAST was established. But before that, polytechnic was doing a lot of things that resonated with what VTCs do. But when it became NAST, it abandoned a number of those things. So the natural or residual effect of that was that right now, we are not in the space of producing technicians or technologists. There is a gap. So what is happening now is that NAST has a lot of academic programs. Some of these programs, you find them at UNAM, so you have a choice. You can either go to UNAM or you come to NAST. And we are tapping from the same source. It's a bit of a challenge. Now, both institutions are creatures of statute. NAST has a defined mandate, which I'm going to talk about in a few. So, now, what happens to graduates from VTCs? Some of them were proudly told, in fact, the colleagues were very proud when they were telling us that their institutions were the most sought after institutions. Almost everywhere we went, that would be the first statement. Our students, our graduates are employed, our graduates are, all that stuff, which is good. But we were also told that the graduates would start up their own companies and sometimes employ these trainers who get fired, the former trainers and so on. But also, we were told that of the trainers themselves, there were those that were sent abroad to upgrade themselves because there were no institutions here that could offer the trainings that they trained their students on. So they create jobs for themselves, they get absorbed, they are sent further for further training, outside for further training, mostly South Africa, Kenya, Zimbabwe, Germany. Some actually went as far as Australia. So they would go up to level 7, some level 8, and come and teach. But we also found out that there's a number of VTC graduates who are unemployed. They don't have startup capitals, some live in villages and so on, and there are a number of them. Now, all this has happened because Polytechnic stopped its offerings because now it became a university. Yeah? I was told I have to be very frank today, so it's just an introspection. Now, let's look at the objects of the Enabling Act. It says to contribute, that's the first one, to contribute to knowledge creation and advance knowledge through teaching, research, and scientific investigation with an emphasis on applied research. Now, we need to find out what kind of research is happening there. Is it applied research or is it traditional academic research? You'll find that a number of academics are pushing for academic research because they then publish in scientific journals so that they get promoted. That's why they become professors and so on and so forth. But the emphasis here is on applied research, not academic research. What is applied research? It has to do with solving problems in the community. if there is smallpox somewhere, you need to find out how, do some research just to check, get answers to solve the problem that is there, what is causing that, so that the results of that research respond to the client's need, not being published actually in scientific research journals. So those kind of things. So you do research to respond to industry, to society, and so on and so forth. In other countries, you can become a professor through doing that kind of research. But most of us, we want to become professors, which simply means teacher. The other one is to support and contribute to economic and social development through globally relevant, professional, technological, and career-focused higher education and effective community engagement with an emphasis on industry involvement. Spend some time in Petersburg, in Moscow. Just recently, we were in Nanjing, in China, Zhejiang, and so on. We went to different universities. What they have there is qualifications which are industry-driven. They are called industry qualifications. Not attachment. They have some form of apprenticeship where they put through their students. Curriculum actually is developed by people in the industry, the practitioners, not just academics, so that it speaks directly to industry. If there are changes because of changes in technology, that informs curriculum as well, because those are the experts that are working on that. So that's what it means there. Industry involvement, not just to give you letters of support so that you register qualifications on NQF. They are involved in the process. To drive, promote, and facilitate technology development and technology transfer and innovation and diffusion. This is what NAST is supposed to be doing. So those are the salient features that I just extrapolated there. Applied research, I've spoken about that. Technological transfer, career-focused, industry involvement. Right. So we also need to draw a line between what is meant by a university of science and technology. You juxtapose that with a traditional university. I know the word traditional is a bit unfriendly. Let's use the word conventional. So that's at least a friendly one. So NAST will be a technological university, and UNAM would be a conventional university. I'm a product of UNAM, a very proud one. So I'm proud to call myself a product of a conventional university. Oh, he just told me I should add 20 more minutes. All right, so I don't have to read through this. This morning, there was a young presenter here in engineering. He spoke about how rigid the curriculum is. It's true, it's rigid. Why? Because we are following a traditional approach, a conventional approach of running a university. If you are a university of science and technology, there must be flexibility, right? That's why competence-based education, which comes from pragmatism, developmentalism, is very much friendly to those people that are actually doing Tvet. So what comes out of there is that the practical skills, very important in that university, less theory. Theory actually is just 20%. 80% is practical. It's career-focused. Academics actually are from the industry. They are not pure traditional scholars that have become professors through books, writing books and publishing. So they are from the industry. So there's partnership with industry in many ways. Lecturers must have vast industry experience, and whatever they teach must be based on their real-world experience. That's the University of Science and Technology. Okay, so the desired pathways, therefore, would be, if we have certificates, we're being told universities don't teach, they should not confer certificates. It's not true. Who says so? They confer certificates everywhere you go, even at Oxford. Diplomas, BTech. So that's what we are proposing. on the NQF framework. We are saying we should consider bringing back BTECs. I'm not sure about BTEC honors, we are still to benchmark. But MTech, there must be an MTech. There must also be a DTech. But what we are following is a conventional way, an ordinary bachelor's, ordinary BA, and then you have a master's, and then you have a PhD. You are a philosopher. You are not a technical person. So we are proposing that route. We are saying let's bring back our BTECs. Let's see how we can assist these graduates to articulate into university programs so that they can follow that pathway. Okay, so those are the recommendations that we have there. There's more emphasis on applied linguistics, applied research. I've spoken about that. Realign programs and curricula for effective articulation by these VTC graduates, because they normally exit with level 3, in some cases level 4. Nakayale, we heard it's level 5. So they've already decided to do things, which is very impressive actually to Mr. Abraham. Okay, we need to emphasize on producing these technicians and technologies. We need to expand teaching and learning facilities so that it becomes hands-on. They talk about dexterity of the hand and the ingenuity of the mind. That was Pupkevich's expression. But in this case, with colleagues from Ghana, with the director from NIMT, they saw a lot of things at NIMT there. They were saying, no, it's not only the hand or the mind, it's also the heart. Because they force their children, I don't know whether they force them. The discipline is very important. They clean. They don't even employ cleaners. So those kids will be cleaning after, after everything. So they are introduced, that's a habit they are creating out of that. So the Ghanaians were very impressed. Okay, so physical infrastructure also must be relooked at. We were outside there looking at the stalls for NAST. We went through stalls of others. We could see products. And NAST was telling us they train soft skills through building a car. No, we want them to build a car, not to learn soft skills through building a car. Yeah, so when we...
That's a conclusion. When they say things,
yes. Now I'm about to conclude.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You are really making sense.
Okay, thank you. He just complimented me. He said I'm making sense. All right. What I was trying to say is that we should expand and make sure that we don't only rely on expanding on laboratories, but we also learn from VTCs. They have production units. I never saw such kind of things. I went to Kakarara, I saw things there that I had never seen before. I went to Ongwediva, Valombola, I went to WVTC. The things they do there are so amazing. And I was telling myself, if we go into biochemical studies so that we can make bonds to support the medical doctors, then we have technicians and technologists who are producing. If we introduce things like nanotechnology, these things of cell phones, those small things, they will have learned electronics at VTC. When they come to us, they are learning those things so that they become practical. And we open workshops, actually, to support society to build industry and create employment. There are so many things that could be done by a University of Science and Technology. I've been told to stop, so please allow me to sit down. Thank you.
Pro Nyati. Almost I call you sir, but pro sir, for the first time. You're only the pro and also sir. So a round of applause to him, please, because he really made sense. That's why I allowed him a bit. Of course, yes, I was saying you are doing well by the time. But then he said, no, he said I must add. But he was really making a lot of sense. There is 80%, 20% theory, That apprenticeship program is there with MTA. I'm one of the company that participated in the pilot program, and we have 7 graduated already. They are working. It's only that they want to bring more theory. The full-time and apprenticeship, you want all of them to do the same thing. I think the qualification is only the one that have to differ. But I think apprenticeship is industrial made. 80-20%. It's a good thought. And also he said NAST. He said we must tell each other the truth. NAST to become a university, the way we are now, we left a serious gap. Now we want to correct the damage. I don't know how, but you see how we're struggling now to be a university like UNAM. Now we are struggling now for a department, but it was a full-fledged, the transition between vocational education to NAST, to Polytech was easy. But now when they become a university, become very difficult. Our students, our trainees from technical vocational education to go through that path. But I'm okay, I'm better that they are creating that thing, Tvet department, so that at least they see a path that our students that want to become academia in the Tvet space, they go and they have that path. Well done once more again. A final round of applause because he was our last presenter, but I will go back because now they become panel members. They were presenters. Now I will officially also remove myself to guide representers, now goes to moderate. I don't see the rooming mics, yes, gentlemen, if you can just do it quickly. And we will definitely allow the 4, at least first it was 5, because we are moving, really, the time is running. We will now have 4. Those that want to ask questions, if I ask my question or engage my panel members, those that want to engage the panel members, please prepare your questions. Thank you very much, and well done, the respected panel members. I will just have 3 questions, and I would want all of us to feel free to take the question once you see you are ready to take the questions, because I know my panel members are highly equal to the task, and I know they will do justice, brief, towards these questions. The first question will be, and it will be dedicated to all of us, but the moderator won't take the answer. What the emerging industry and technologies are expected to shape the future job market, and how should Tvet institutions adapt to these changes? Yes, anyone can. Yes, Mr. Siririka?
Yes, thanks. Thank you. I think reference was made to, with regard to to Singapore. I think Dubai, you saw that. I I have a fixation with Korea. And it's because I studied their system, their Tvet system. From 1953, when Korea was a backward country, and after the armistice between the South and North Korea, the Tvet Act has been changing as and when they were moving their economy forward. And that has made a lot of difference to Korea as a country and as a people. Today, they are one of the industrialized societies, and the rest is history. We know what is happening there. And of course, there is no way we can develop with lackluster approach to education and training. We can also not develop as a people and as a country with the system that we have currently, where we want to do things the way our parents have done them, or it has always been done. Or you hear people telling you that this is how we do it here. It's not true. That's not how we should be. Some of us, when we were at the universities, and that was in the 80s, we never had computers. They were actually mainly in the library. We actually were using microfiche. That's the transparencies. We're just making copies, and you go and write it with your hand and get it typed for you by someone. That's the reality of the situation where some of us are coming from. But now, coming from that background and being what I am today is to appreciate what technology can do for me. And I think that's what we need to all appreciate, that we need to move on. We cannot keep things as they have been. We need to move with times. Our training centers need to try and provide training as and when demanded.
Thank you. Thank you very much. As the industry demand, I can conclude with this one. It must be tailor-made for we are producing for the industry. But Pro, I will now come for you. Why are the partnership between the Tvet institutions and the industry, government, are critical for the preparing the future and the readiness of the workforce? Pro, this is for you.
Yeah, I did not get that question, but I got the first question.
The question says, okay, yeah, that's how your moderator is. He's a bit tricky. Yes, you know the teachers don't like also people to copy, so you say you're a teacher. Why are the partnership between Tvet institutions, industry, governments are critical to make sure that the future and the workforce are ready for the emerging industries?
Yes, I think as a government entity, we are wary of the fact that you cannot work as if you are working in silos. Synergy is always important. In fact, from a university perspective, learning is endless. That's why there's continuous professional development that Mr. Jerry was talking about, which tells me that even just my experience here at this conference has informed me about many things that we should try and explore. For example, I just called the acting vice chancellor and informed him that we had very impressive presentations today. One of them was on gap skills analysis, which was presented by Mr. Limbo. So I told him we should invite him so that he shares that with us. And obviously the colleague here presented something very compelling. Mr. Mkendwa also did that. We have to invite these people. These are critical stakeholders. They will inform us on how we restructure and reorient our curriculum to realign with the emerging industries, as you asked that first question. Thank you.
Thank you, Pro. Thank you, Pro Doc. I know you are much passionate about people to eat enough, but not only to eat, also to produce, because you definitely require to produce what you can consume. So why do you think it's important that in the agricultural sector, people must be upskilled and must be retrained? Why do you think is that important, Doctor?
I'm also with Prof on this one. I prepared my response on the first one, but let me first answer that one, then I'll come back to the first one, if you will allow me. Since I'm the only lady also on stage, I think I have more privileges than the gentleman.
Yes, but briefly, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's my time. Yes, Prof. So I think to answer the question, we have noticed that, for example, our farm workers, they are a very critical component of the value chain, and everything starts with them. And we've detected that despite them playing this critical role, this is often the group where they are either having no skills or a lack of skills, and we need to upskill these people to be more productive, also to make them feel valuable in the chain, for example. And this is one of the reasons why AgriPro Vision has a big focus on farm worker capacity development. That's one of our flagship programs that we're now expanding countrywide, where we want to train 400 farm workers in 20 locations across the country, just to upskill them and also make them feel valuable, and in response to the needs of industry. Because agriculture, despite it being a traditional sector, there's certain needs from industry, like we also need to incorporate AI into our practices. And our farm workers are the people that are directly working with the livestock, but do they know how to use the smart sensors or ear tags that we have to put on the cattle? We need to train them how to do that, despite us handling the data on the back end, for example. So I hope I answered your question. But just back to the first question. All right, so I think in response to the change, I think it's necessary for Tvet to first and foremost understand their role within the change. Where do we fit in the bigger picture? In addition to that, we also need to understand what is our support systems that we have at hand. And if there's a lack of support, where is it needed that we need to bring in additional support to make this all of a success? Then I would also like to touch on the monitoring and evaluation, because everything we do has to be coupled to quality. And how do we assess that quality? It is only through monitoring and evaluation. And of course, research and development. At NTA, we're sitting with a lot of wealth of data at NAST, at our universities. But what are we doing with this data to inform our practices, to identify the skills gaps, and to address these needs? We need to make use, make that data live, and actually, take it to the people that need it most. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause to the panel members. I think they have done justice. And the only few minutes we have, I said 4 questions. And I think there are Roman mics that can just be... Yes, I can see a hand there. And this time around, I really want a gender balance. 2 women, 2 men. Because I don't want to be a moderator that we're going to be questioned too much. Sorry? Yes, you can start here because he was the first. Then you go there. I need just 2 women. Yes, 2 ladies. Or if they don't want, then it's okay. Okay. Then that gentleman and Masanakatana, then we are done. And yes, are they 4? Yeah, then the chief of moderators.